Show, I gotta let them know. Tuesday, 7 p.m., gotta let them know. 3 M's meant to model, gotta multiply. God gets all the glory, hands in the sky. My brothers keep a show, I gotta let them know. Tuesday, 7 p.m., gotta let them know. 3 M's meant to model, gotta multiply. God gets all the glory, hands in the sky. My brothers keep a show. Introduce the host. My brothers keep a show. Introduce the host. That's the Dr.MikeGreen.
When's the last time someone said thanks for checking over your shoulder before changing lanes? Or gave you a pat on the back for sticking to the speed limit? Or a thumbs up for not tailgating? Probably never. Which is too bad, considering safe drivers make the roads safer for everyone. That's why Allstate appreciates safe drivers like no one else. And they show it by saving you 45% or more, along with giving you safe driving bonus checks, deductible rewards, and extra discounts with the DriveWise app. So the next time you come to a complete stop in an intersection, ask yourself, why haven't I switched to Allstate?
The Brandeo Insurance Group, your local DMV Allstate agent, can help you save 45% or more for driving safely. Call him at 410-424-0844 and get a quote today.
It pays to drive safely. Call a local Allstate agent today and find out how you can save 45% or more. Switching to Allstate is worth it.
Savings vary, subject to terms, conditions, and availability.
Let me just say Mike's open.
He didn't mean you, Mike. He meant that Mike.
Good evening, and welcome to the greatest show on this side of greatness. Of course, we know it's my brother's keeper. Of course, again, we know that it's where greater men continue to make men great with the spirit of excellence. And of course, again, we know, it's a Tony the Tiger terrific Tuesday. It's great. Sitting in with me tonight, of course, is Dr. BryanChampion, and we do also have our executive producer, Miss Beverly Session, that's going to be hanging out with us today for a very powerful discussion referencing that Me Too movement. But going on down the line, I'd just like to welcome Dallas, Fort Worth, San Antonio, Texas, Raleigh, Durham, North Carolina, North Carolina, New Jersey, Maryland, Washington, D.C. area, Virginia as well, and all the way on the West Coast, we have Pomona and Ontario, as well as Los Angeles, California. Also like to thank Bishop Jelani Kafela for his constant support of My Brother's Keeper, as well as Bishop Bernard Walker, James B. Walker. James B. Walker of the CME Church, 7th Episcopal District. Thank you so much for your continued support as well. Remember to please like and share the show tonight, Me Too Movement. We're going to be discussing from a male perspective as well as a female's perspective on the Me Too movement that's going...
Wall Street rule.
The Wall Street rule. So also the housekeeping rules. Telephone number is 301-429-9247, 301-429-WBGR. And remember to please like and share this segment. Again, please like and share. Hey, Dr. Champion, how are you, sir?
Man, I'm doing great. Good to see you. Actually, I got a chance to spend a little time with you over the weekend at the New York Washington Conference Winter Accounting Meeting. So,
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So it's always good, but it's even better to be in studio with you, and I'm excited about that because I wasn't supposed to be here today. So I got a chance to break the tradition of, and get back a little early, share with you, and join in.
Yes, sir.
Today with Sister Sessions.
Yes.
Man, I'm telling you, I'm feeling like I'm in hot cotton right now.
You're in hot cotton.
I'm in hot cotton.
Well, definitely, it was a surprise seeing you come through the door. I know we talked a little earlier, but it definitely was a surprise seeing you come through the door.
So you said your wish didn't come true.
No, actually, I'm glad you're here, man. Glad you're here. Definitely had a good time. We didn't get a chance to really sit and have a lot of conversation on Saturday, but we did, get a chance to wrap just a little bit coming and going out of the conference in Baltimore.
Right,
the
right.
Accounting meeting.
And we got a chance to, congratulate Congresswoman Hayes and
Amen.
and have some dialogue with her and
absolutely,
and, suggested. Or encouraged her that we'd like for her to come on the show after she
again.
That's right, again. That's right, because
right.
She was on somebody's show last night.
Was it Tonight Show?
Late Night Show,
yeah.
one of those shows. But I told him, I said, but we had you first.
That's right. Before.
That's right.
And we spoke prophetically that she would.
That she would be elected. So.
She would be elected. The first African American woman to the 5th Congressional District of Connecticut.
And actually, I think the first African American woman in the state of Connecticut, I believe.
That's very powerful.
Yeah.
Very, very powerful. And congratulations. Actually, we had a chance to see her this Saturday. And I really just had an opportunity to shake her husband's hand, Brother Hayes, because it's an awesome, thing that he's doing. Well, not thing, but awesome support system that is set up in place of him just rallying everything and everyone around her. And it takes a very secure man to move in that place.
Well, and you and I think we had a conversation when we saw the two of them at the prayer breakfast during Black Caucus.
Yes.
And I talked about then how he was such a supportive husband and how he, maneuvers around the room and does things. And it's just something, an image that many men need to see and emulate.
Yes.
Because, again, a proud man of his wife, but a supportive man of his wife. And that's the way, as men, we have to be. We're looking for loving and supportive spouses. But we also have to be loving and supportive spouses.
That's right. We're always looking for someone to toe the line for us, but yet and still he's towing the line for his family.
Right.
Son was there, and basically the family was there, and they were just really supportive, and it was a good moment, and I really appreciated being a part of that, just to sit and talk with him for a moment equally as well.
Yes.
So definitely powerful opportunity. And then again, we're trying to get her to come on the show. I think their swearing in ceremony is the 3rd of January.
January 3rd, yes.
Okay, and we look forward to trying to get her to, while she's down during that time. I think that'll be a high time because many of the other congressmen will be sworn in on that time as well, at that time.
And I'm not sure about this, but they said this may be one of the largest freshman class of Congress people in history. So
I'm looking forward to that. I'm really looking forward to that. That looks like that's going to be an awesome occasion, and I look forward to having her be a part of it. Absolutely. Hey, man, I'm trying to figure out what's going on with the Washington Redskins. What do you think going on with the Washington Redskins, man?
All right, man, I tell you, it seemed like they're falling apart to me. There was a period of time this season when I didn't watch them because every time I didn't watch them,
they won.
Now, so it doesn't matter if I watch them, they lose. If I don't watch them, they lose. So
okay,
and I don't see a bright future ahead.
Okay.
Josh Johnson did good.
Only after Garcia, they took the guy that butt fumbles.
Right. Mark Sanchez.
You don't want to say the name?
I'm sorry. That's only Washington Burgundy and Gold can communicate about this. You're silver and gold, blue and gold, blue and silver. So you kind of hold tight there for a minute.
NFC leaders.
For now. So they put the young guy in, man, who hadn't thrown an actual pass since what?
Since I had.
Since 2011, actually.
But and it was funny because, what I did see, he looked sharp, and the thing was what was really interesting was the speed of the game changed with him in there, because all of a sudden, when he was running some of those plays, he looked like he was one of the fastest guys on the field. And so that just really, changed. So what will be interesting, though, so if I put my sports talk radio hat on for a moment.
Okay, go ahead.
What's going to be interesting is now that a defense has had the opportunity to scheme for him, how would that affect his play this week? Because he came in making a major change-up from what Mark Sanchez was doing.
Absolutely.
And so then all of a sudden, he comes in, he's doing something different. You're not schemed for him, and all of a sudden, he looks like a star. So now that defense has an opportunity to scheme for him, we'll really see what type of potential he has. But, man, isn't this a great opportunity for him?
Yes, it is. Yes, I thought so as well.
And, I mean, who wouldn't want to have this opportunity to not only come back to the NFL, but have an opportunity to start again. And, I mean, and he's auditioning for the whole NFL because the possibility is if he's not with the Redskins next year, that somebody may invite him back to camp.
Absolutely. It's amazing because, again, I saw where teams where Dak Prescott was this phenom, and then they had an opportunity to strategize against him, prepare for him, and then after that first season, the second season coming in, man, he was getting slaughtered, man, and he was no longer that phenom with these records that people dared to break. But, the sack record, because a lot of people were sacking him then. So, definitely, I'm excited about the burgundy and gold. Also, they're talking about bringing the Washington burgundy and gold. Excuse me, I'm sorry. The burgundy and gold again to Washington, D.C., where RFK was.
Yeah,
the Redskins used to play.
That would be great. I mean, FedEx Field is a nice stadium. It's a nice experience and everything, but it's nothing like going to a game in the city. I mean, and if you really don't understand it, go to Nats Park.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow. And Nats Park is an experience when you go there to watch the Nats play. It's an experience when you go down to I think it's called Capital One Arena now, and watch the Wizards. I mean, those are experiences. And I believe bringing the football team back to D.C. Will also be another great opportunity.
Is that, I think that I went the past Friday and had the opportunity to watch some boxing. And is that the Capital Arena? I'm not sure if that was the name. It's St. Elizabeth Hospital. And it was it's new, and the Mystics practice there, and I think they said they're going to start playing there, and they're having a host of Washington events there.
Okay,
it's this big arena. I mean, and I didn't even think that they would have had that there at St. Elizabeth. Yeah, I mean, it's an awesome arena, and it's out of the way, but it's convenient to get to.
Okay,
once you get into the facility, it's like
they have all this here. I'm sure it's real easy.
Yeah, well, actually, you have press passes and, with WBGR because they were at the ringside and calling the fight. Comedian Christian Coy was there. Trayon White was there. You had a lot of people there.
Okay.
You had really big names there. That was really getting it in there.
Yeah.
So
please do invite me next time.
You have a press pass, don't you?
I don't.
Well,
I have to get one.
We'll get you one. Many of the football games, basketball games, boxing matches, because they're bringing boxing back to the nation's capital.
Right.
So, again, we just make sure that the CEO knows, and we'll get you badged up, man. Absolutely. Yeah, and as well with the conferences, the Black Congressional Conference, you're able to get your press pass to get in, preferential treatment, and all that good stuff.
Okay.
Oh right. Man, it's on and popping.
Okay.
So
count me in.
Just free events and just go hang out around the sidelines and just but not in like they don't have that for Dallas, So that's for Washington sports.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. So the
Go
book
Caps.
That's right. Go Caps.
So the book.
I love the Capitals.
She loves the Capitals. Good job. DOOD. Good job. Great. Great. Black Pain. This is a book by Terry M. Williams. It's a book that talk about the psychological pain that a lot of African Americans endure but do not ever address. And it turns into a lot of psychotrauma, the stresses of a lot of the pain that we encounter in today's society. Terry M. Williams, one of the, in the subtext is, it just looks like we're not hurting, because we are great pretenders. So when we walk around and we pretend that we're not hurting, you say, "Hey, Doc, how you doing?" "Man, I'm blessed and highly favored. I'm great. I'm outstanding." But it just looks that way. Deep down inside, I'm cut, I'm bruised, I'm even bleeding. Yes. So this is actually a great book. It's a long read. But this is one that I've just kind of picked up and I've been going through since I've been on my book.
Okay.
Working on my book. So I've been going back over some of those points in black pain. And it has had me just staying in there for a minute.
Okay.
And it's a very powerful work that Terry Williams do with the book Black Pain.
So Black Pain is the book of the month for December.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Black Pain. Yes.
Right.
Absolutely.
Great. And let me take this opportunity also to commend you. When we did the show back in January.
New Man, New Year.
January 2nd, 2018. And we talked about why resolutions don't persist, and we committed to doing our thing and seeing it through. And one of your was, I'm going to read a book every month.
Amen.
And you've gone through it, but you also allow me and the radio audience to hold you accountable by coming in every month saying, "Hey, this is the book of the month.
Yes.
This is the book that I've read."
Yes.
And so, what people have seen through example of you is that New Year's resolutions can be kept.
Yes.
And
yes,
all
absolutely.
we need to do is to stay faithful to those things that we promise God will do.
Wow.
That we need to have accountability partners, and through that we can accomplish those things. That we don't have to quit our goals in the first 15 days of the year.
After the newness wears off.
Right. Yeah. By Martin Luther King's birthday, everybody is like already like, what resolution?
what was I saying? Yeah, but that's a good thing to be on point and being on task with, staying focused, because again, the mind needs focus, instruction, and the mind needs a hero, someone that is doing what you're trying to do.
Right.
So definitely that's what the mind needs, and being really diligent and focused with that. So thank you for noticing and I'm
sure I'm not the only one who knows. Those of you that notice, go ahead and like and share and hit the smile button. Let's give Dr. Green a big applause.
Hey, something that was in the news briefly is Kevin Hart. He was apologizing for the LBGTQ LMOP community. Said that lightly. Well, hold on, wait a minute, because then I'm gonna have to apologize.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say.
Well, the views that are expressed here are not necessarily the views.
So
of
I've been waiting to say that for a while. The views of Dr. Green are not the views expressed by WBGR.
Absolutely, there are that of my brother's keeper. So so he's going around apologizing, and I think he's apologized over several times, and even stepped down from emceeing the Oscars even. And it's like he got to a point where he said, "I'm tired of apologizing," and it's like, wow, why do he has to keep apologizing for something that was many moons ago? And if he said he apologized for it, for making a mistake of saying it, and then it's settled, and then someone can go back and dig something up and make it relevant again, and then you're now on that whole wagon again of apologizing, making it, going through the circuit of, apologizing again. What do you think about that?
Well, one thing we got to recognize is that things don't just go away just because we apologize.
Yes.
Especially in this day and age.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so,
Yes.
especially with social media, the way it is and other things. And so, you do get to a point where, okay, I've apologized and I'm not going to continue to apologize. However, the best apology you can give to any group, to any individual that you've offended, if you're sincere about the apology, is to not continue behavior that's consistent with what you apologize for.
Woo!
So if you move forward in a way that people say, hey, you know what? That was the him then, and this is not the him now, then people move beyond it.
Yes.
But what happens is, again, you're right. People do use social media. They do use things to get a spin on it. And I'm not sure that he resigned from that MC role. I'm not sure that he wasn't forced out of it.
Okay.
Because that's what I heard one report being said. And the thing we had to recognize is that there's freedom of speech in the United States.
Yes.
And we can say anything we want. But we have to recognize and be responsible enough to understand that freedom of speech has a cost.
Yes.
And so if we use that our right to say what we want to say, we also have to recognize that people have the right to not be supportive of the causes we stand for, of our careers, and things of that nature. And so we have to be prepared to really think and be mature about the things we say and do. And I'm going to segue just a little bit, and I apologize because I don't know the Heisman Trophy winner's name. And I think this is an important lesson for young people. But on Saturday, the Heisman Trophy winner, I believe from the Oklahoma University, quarterback, 21 years old, after winning the Heisman Trophy, they pulled up tweets that he made when he was 14 and 15 years old. And so he's now apologizing for the tweets.
Yes.
And his apology, I thought, in what it said was, that is not the person I am today.
Kyler Murray.
Kyler Murray, thank you. He says, this is not the person I am today. So, you would hope that it's not going to affect his future, but he still has something to prove.
Yes.
People are still going to remember that and judge it. It may mean the difference between being the first pick in the draft and the 11th pick in the draft, because some people are going to, and so what it is, again, how does that affect him? He might still play in the NFL. He still might have other things, but he might not get certain commercial endorsements.
As far as,
he may not get certain, by his draft rank. There's a cost to that. And so what I'm saying to young people especially, here's a 21-year-old man that did something when he was 14. And so at that time, he had no clue that he'd ever be a national public figure. And so we all have to remind ourselves to act in a way that if we end up being a public figure, what's going to come back to bite us?
I just want to say we need to act in a way, because that also happened to I think he was a Nationals baseball player. Something he said back when he was in high school, and it came back up. His were racist comments. But never mind, act in a way, should I ever be in a public eye? One of the things that I was always very sharp-tongued and had no problem. Sarcastic, say what I wanted to say. But I also read the Bible, and one day I came across, but I say unto you, you shall be held accountable for every idle word. And right then, I knew, wow, I'm going to have to stand in front of God and say, well, what I was really trying to say or what I really meant. So we always have to be mindful of our words, not just for what we might be here, but what we're going to be there after.
And that's great, absolutely, because again, it's sacrificing the words you say today for a future. And that, if that future's in heaven or if that future's on earth, that we still have to be responsible. And so we just want to send a message out to young people that all of this stuff seems to be fun or whatever, but these pictures that you take and certain other comments that you make or showing somebody, that young man a few years ago put a gas mask on, and they put marijuana into the gas mask and everything, and that came out on draft day. So he ended up not getting drafted in his original place. So what you do in the dark is going to come out in the light.
Now it's much quicker,
much
and
quicker
the light's
because
much
of the
brighter.
social media piece. How about the player that was going, the defensive player, and he came out and he was standing with his mate, and they kissed when his name was called. Sams,
Right.
Michael Sams,
Michael Sams.
Michael Sams, and then he wound up playing for the Rams. Back in.
I thought it was a Cowboy.
I don't think they picked him up.
Oh, okay.
But I think the Rams picked.
Was that a flight? No.
No.
The Rams picked him up, and so. So it's like he thought he was doing something good because even at the time, I believe it was Oprah who had already signed him to do a book deal and possibly a movie, and but everything went downhill right after that. So we have to be careful of the decisions that we do make. And again, your personal life is your personal life. And I do believe with Kevin Hart, he was making reference to his son and how he felt about his son. And so how do you feel about that? You making reference to your son, now someone take that, a private moment or a private feeling, and take it and exploit it publicly.
But was it a private feeling when he posted on a very public Facebook page? And it was something to the effect that his son was doing something. Mm-hmm. And he said, "Stop it, that's gay."
Yes. Mm-hmm.
But the thing that also hurts Kevin Hart, have you ever seen any of his comedy? Mm-hmm. He does that in some of his comedy routines. So we start reinforcing that whole concept that's out there, stereotype, black men are homophobic. Mm-hmm. So I think it might be his larger body of work that would have also done something. It's just like you said, if you really are sorry, then you're not going to be doing the same things over and over again. So I think that's what he is being held accountable for.
For him continuing to say it?
For his whole body of work.
Okay.
So you apologize for that one instance that you got caught up in, but...
Okay. But I don't think, I really don't think it's going to hurt his movie deals, his movie numbers, because he's still reckoning, the numbers and making the movies.
And see, only time tells with things like that. Mm-hmm. You just really never know. And sometimes people remain successful, so you don't really see the immediate impact.
Okay.
But they know that there's, all of a sudden there's fewer commercials or there's fewer products that want to associate with, or they get typecast into certain roles that they all of a sudden now you can't get because people don't want to put you in that, or they want to push the typecast. So okay, now you have made all these jokes against a community, so now they want to give you a role where
that's what
you
have
exploit
to,
that.
Yes.
And so then you're sitting back saying, well, hold up. Now, you're trying to get me, I'm trying to change a perception, but you're trying to keep me in that perception. And the only way you'll give me work is to continue. And you hear actors and actresses talk about that, that they found it hard to get work in certain cases because they were only being asked to do something that they had spoken out against.
Okay. Let me just give a shout out to Alvin Foster, Shatar Washington, and Jacqueline Upshaw Price. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you. Letitia Fee, Tarina Winbush Williams. Thank you guys for watching this evening episode. Please chime in as we get ready to get into the Me Too conversation. Also, like and share. Please like and share. Right now, we're going to have Miss Session go ahead and read the correspondence that went, the Wall Street correspondence.
This is coming from an article in the Bloomberg News, December 3rd, and it's speaking about what they are referring to as really VP Mike Pence rule. No more dinners with female colleagues. Don't sit next to them on flights. Book hotel rooms on different floors. Avoid one-on-one meetings.
Wow.
You have one advisor that went on to say that just hiring a woman can be an unknown risk, because what she may say, what you may say, she may take the wrong way. And one of the things that struck me why I thought it would be good to talk about was really because as a woman, I know how my career would have been impacted had I not had many of the male mentors that
interaction.
I have. Many of these things I have traveled with just a male, a boss or a coworker.
Okay.
I've been out to dinner alone, and there was never anything inappropriate, but I know I wouldn't have gained as much knowledge, been the leader that I was, if it wasn't for those men that poured into me. And I think I would have been severely impacted. So as women, are we going to, is it retaliation? Or who's really going to be hurt by that? Probably more the women. Overall, I think everyone.
Okay. Well, let's even look at one of the just one of them each as we go down the line.
Let me just say this.
Go ahead.
Because you asked a particular question. Is it retaliation? It doesn't. Even if it's not retaliation and it's a reaction, it still has that negative impact on workplace relationships. When you start setting rules that are that strict and that extreme, people are not comfortable to be themselves in the workplace, and it damages, again, the social network of developing talent. And so I do think there's a strong possibility that women can be negatively impacted without having exposure to certain leaders.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that we even talk about, thank you, Sister Melissa Gillespie, Sister Leslie Cash Tips. Thank you guys for tuning in. Please like and share. Please like and share. And thank you for joining the discussion. But even as we talk about when you're traveling, not being in the same floor next door in the hotel, having a dinner together because I'm away from home, you're away from home, and we're going to the same meeting, and people getting the wrong ideas, or it can be misconstrued as the wrong thing, and it's like, wow, wait a minute, what have we really come to in our society? I was reading where one of my favorite songs by Ella Fitzgerald and Louis Armstrong, Baby It's Cold Outside. It's like now, radio stations have been taking that off the air and off their playlists, all because they say, it's offensive because he's stopping her from leaving. And I'm like, wow, that song is a classic. I mean, you even have Dean Martin who have sang it, and I mean, just the likes of down the line. So now, here's this song now that came out, what is it, the 50s? So now here we are in a new century even, and now people are saying, oh no, take this off of the air. We can't listen to that. What are your take on that? What is your take on that?
There would be a lot of music that wouldn't be playing. A lot of music is going to come off the air.
But again, now to the point of the radio stations, as they're talking about taking this off, as you say, listen to a lot of the music that is being played on a lot of the stations, like even R&B. You calling women, female dogs and garden tools, but they're not talking about taking that off the air. So that's what I'm saying. So now you get into what you want to take and what you're willing to listen to, or what are you willing to scream Me Too movement on.
So I don't know the song well enough to go into the lyrics and kind of play it back.
No.
But
baby, it's cold.
But
the opening but baby, it's cold outside.
So,
and it's talking about, she's trying to go home, basically, and so he's trying to keep her there.
Freeze out there.
Yeah.
Just giving.
So the point of that,
I think he's trying to accommodate her.
And that's what I'm saying. We can analyze it, but the point that I'll make is you take that song and other songs.
Yes.
And your question was, here we are 50 years later want to take it off the air. But sometimes because of the way society and culture changes, certain things that were allowed to be on TV
acceptable
need to come off the air. That's why you don't see certain episodes of The Little Rascals anymore. That's why certain episodes of Popeye ain't on the air no more. Because when you really go back and look at them, there was like some really offensive racial humor in that. I looked at some episodes of Friends that were only like 12 or 13 years old that don't need to be on the air anymore.
What do you mean?
Archie Bunker.
Fact that there was never any black people in New York City on
No,
Friends? That right there.
But I mean, okay, so.
Yeah.
Preside Nelda, thank you for joining in tonight, as well as Anthony Smokes and Claudina Harrison. Thank you guys for tuning in tonight.
So the fact that they didn't have black friends is just culturally not a norm. But the fact is now some of the things that they say, some of the things that they said, and
Stephen Patterson, thank you for watching.
There were comments in particular that I watched where they made comments around gays, and it was joking and it was funny, and the laugh track comes on or whatever. That if you were to say that today, you would. So those episodes,
Right.
are and there are people who are watching those things and making those decisions that they do need to come off the air. Now, in radio, I agree. There's a lot of songs that are playing on certain stations, and with the large amount of media that we have these days. But a lot of those songs that you're talking about, they're not playing those on the stations I listen to. Okay. I know they got those words in them, but on the station I listen to, they're not saying them. Okay.
Well, one thing that I say, Friends, I never liked Friends anyway because of, I didn't like the monkey.
Archie Bunker.
I didn't like the monkey. So anyway, and no African American people aside from that. But with that, do you think it's an overreaction of them taking the music or that particular song off the air? Do you think that's an overreaction?
I think all of it, even the rules that are being set, that's an overreaction. Changing, where you speak of Archie Bunker, All in the Family, there were a lot of lessons that were learned in that too. I mean, one of the classic ones where we'll think him and George Jefferson always going at it was when Archie found out he had George Jefferson's blood. Remember, Archie needed a transfusion. And when he found out he had black blood in him, how that was a teachable moment. Look at that. Black blood, and you're no different.
Okay. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, do you think the Me Too movement has gone too far? Or do you think that it's an overreaction to take certain songs? No, I'm speaking to the audience right now. If I can just poll that so they can start communicating online. I was going to ask
you, could I rephrase what you said just a little bit? Not that the Me Too movement has gone too far. Some of the responses to the Me Too movement.
Some of the responses
being an overreaction.
Okay. Well, even. Okay.
Yeah, I think that's what you were really referring to.
Okay. Appropriate, or are we overreacting?
I think that, we can start the conversation right there. Are the responses to the Me Too movement overboard, or is it, are they pushing it too far, or are they right in place? And again, would you have taken the song "Baby It's Cold Outside" off air? And as a man, Dr. Champion, just as a man, how do you feel interacting with women today as opposed to yesterday in the office setting, opening doors, sitting in the cafeteria alone with a woman, and it's just you and her? I mean, in an alone setting. I mean, based upon with the response of the Me Too movement.
Well, even prior to the Me Too movement, I think that as we became more educated about sexual harassment or sexual or inappropriate behavior, I think it brings out a conservatism in you that you are careful not to cross certain lines. You want to ensure that so they say it's unwanted looks, it's unwanted touches, it's unwanted comments, and so forth. But do you want to find out after the fact that it's unwanted or that it was acceptable? So, yeah, and I remember days, and I had a boss that made a comment one day, and it crossed the line. Mm-hmm. And she was really saying it for the men to respond. But every man in the room knew that was a dangerous thing to respond to. You would assume that since she made the first comment that it could have been a ha-ha, he-he moment. But everybody's still aware that you have to be very careful. So I think that individuals do overreact. I had a young lady tell me, said, I think the men take it too far. I get dressed up, I come to work, and I look nice every day, and nobody will even tell me I look cute. She said, I want somebody to tell me I look cute, but because of this, nobody will say anything. So, it hurts everybody because someone is not getting the confirmation that they need that they're doing a good job, because now I'm not going to talk to the staff person. I'm not going to spend extra time with her, mentoring her, because I don't want to be seen as crossing the line by either her or the outside world.
Okay. Now, let me take the flip side on with the women. How do you think women, or do you, as a woman, feel that the response have gone overboard?
I think it's a definite overreaction. For me, first, let's go with the travel. I'm traveling alone. As a female, and if I have a male counterpart, I'm going to feel a little better, whether it's a male or female, but traveling with someone else that I know. So I wouldn't want you to be on a different floor. And I also feel that, I guess my biggest question, I think men have the ability to control. I try to tell my staff, if you wouldn't say it to a man, you don't say it to a woman. So the woman that was saying, no one says I look cute, the thought should be, hey, you look really sharp. That's what you would say to a brother, correct? So you could say something like that. We've also talked about what's appropriate touching. So elbow, shoulder, those would be the only places we could touch within the place of business. So I do think it's an overreaction. Okay. Yes, you are going to have some people, men and women. Yeah. If you came to any of our staff meetings, sometimes because we have relationships with each other. We had worked together for years. So someone could walk into one of our staff meetings and hear something and take something totally
out of context.
But we've already built those relationships. So it's knowing who you're working with.
Well, I think that absolutely knowing who you're working with, and then again, there's out and blatant, just going overboard with, when you're especially talking about grabbing women by the genitals.
Definitely.
And non-apologetic about it.
Okay.
And then no one reacts about that. But then here you talk about, something as a song that has been played 50 years, and you want to take that off the air, but you don't, say that this action has consequences here.
Right.
And you still have a person in leadership. And I think team reflects leadership. If you ask me, team reflects leadership. So now we have this thing where, you can't compliment a woman and just, sometimes it's like it's just overreaction the way that sometimes it goes. So sometimes it's just best to be quiet at times. Just be quiet.
Can be. But have we been in have I been in the workplace where people are not looking in my eyes? Yeah, I'm sure every woman. So when you talk about unwanted look, you're talking and that's when you say, hey, I'm here. Because that's not where your focus is.
Right.
So that can definitely make you feel uncomfortable. But the challenge also is, women, are we saying something to the men? The minute you say something out of line, then are we addressing it and telling them right then and there, hey, it's out of line? Anyone male that ever worked with me knew I didn't deal with workplace romances. I just don't like that. something my dad always told me. You don't mix the two. So you have to be mindful as women that you have to address it and stop it immediately the first time you feel it's inappropriate. The first time you think the person is maybe trying to take the work relationship somewhere where you don't want it to go. So not only have I, in management, I'm sure you've had to be a party of investigations to some of the allegations. And it does become, did you ever say anything to them? Or did you ever try
Well, a lot of times
stop?
in fear of retaliation, some women do not respond. Some men do not respond in fear of retaliation because it's almost as if, okay, who's going to believe me? Just like I believe it was a movie, Disclosure, with Michael Douglas and Demi Moore. And they were like, man, we don't believe this hot woman, this beautiful woman, and threw herself on you, and then you just stopped and you didn't want it anymore. You didn't want her to do it anymore. And it's amazing because, men are abused equally as well.
Men have no self-control. That's the way
that's
it's
the
viewed.
story. That's the story.
Right.
That's the
way
narrative.
it's viewed.
Yeah, that's the narrative.
But I sort of think that article or those rules are reinforcing that men have no self-control. If you cannot have any contact, but how does that make you feel?
So let me say this. I think those rules are really saying something else. And that's where we really have to be careful, because now they're saying don't trust the women. They're saying don't put yourself. And that's I'm good.
I know.
So what happens is you don't know what men say.
Right.
So what men say is we got to be careful of these women that are trying to trap us. So they come up with rules of engagement that guard and protect themselves, not really addressing the actual problem, but coming up with, it's the woman's fault. These women are coming on to us and they're doing all these things.
It started in the Garden of
and so
Eden.
and so through this, so that there's no record of you doing anything. Don't go nowhere with them. Don't talk to them. Don't look at them. Don't speak to them. Don't do anything. But let me just say this, and I think this is a key point, is that we need to define inappropriate behavior way greater than someone who is trying to make a pass at you, because inappropriate jokes, Michael and I having a conversation that you are in earshot that is inappropriate, all of those things have to be dealt with, and we have to be responsible in those things as well.
And even having that conversation at least, because I could be attracted to someone at work and say, hey, or share my attraction with that person, and so all of a sudden, if it's unwanted or if it's like, hey, that's you're not that guy, then it's like she says you're not that guy, and I respect it. I don't take it as her no means yes.
Right, but what I'm saying is, you might be attracted to another woman, and you're making comments about the other woman,
and
but
it
offends this woman.
It hurts her feelings because you're not saying it to her.
No,
for whatever reason.
No.
For whatever reason.
Right. That is a possibility.
But for whatever reason. But for whatever reason, it's offensive to her.
It's offensive,
and so
because
therefore you got a big old. And so sometimes people just got to mind their business.
But
in a sense.
Or you be mindful. Like, for example,
joking. That was a joke. That was a slight
careful.
joke. Yeah. Okay. The views that are expressed here on My Brother's Keeper are not necessarily the views of WBGR. Okay. Right. That disclaimer went out.
An example would be I had to do an investigation because a gentleman in the workplace was he was over his marriage ministry at his church. And so he was doing a sex survey. He had the form. I meant to bring it, but he actually had it printed out, and he was passing it out to the women in the office. And whether it was for research, I don't care what it was for. Guess what? That's very inappropriate. So it becomes, what even made you think to do something? Now, granted, he may have been doing that, but this was also a gentleman before I was promoted as his boss that he always said inappropriate things. He said to one young lady, "What would you do if I kissed you right now?" The response, "Punch you in the face." He would also go into our then boss's office, and every time he went in there, it was my job to get up there and go in the office as well to prevent him from getting himself in trouble. But so that is a way where you have to address everywhere that you see it.
Yeah.
Every place, as soon as you see it.
Yes.
Especially if you're in leadership, because let's say I overhear you two talking, someone else overhears, I don't respond to it. I can be held accountable.
Yes.
Hey, did you hear them talking? Yeah. Well, why didn't you do anything? I can't say, well, they weren't talking to me. So
Well, you can't say that I didn't find it offensive.
Yes.
No, and you can't.
You can't.
You can't say that because again, the behavior is only offensive. I mean, it's inappropriate,
right?
But it's only offensive if the
behavior.
receiver,
Absolutely.
you know, determines that it's offensive. Now, the transmitter will often try to justify why it wasn't offensive. The behavior, the action, the words, or whatever. But the transmitter cannot determine, you know, the receiver's interpretation and understanding of what went on.
Breaking down the communication process. We got a transmitter or receiver. Go ahead.
But they can adjust the frequency so that it's coming across.
That's what gets you in trouble.
And you just dig it deeper and deeper. Yes.
So okay, you know, former EEO director at a federal agency, deputy director. So when it comes to some of these things, I actually have a pretty strong understanding of why people get into trouble. And some of the things that we're joking about is how people have actually came in making their defense, which have led to unsatisfactory outcomes and decisions on their cases.
Right.
Well, what kind of conversation at this point do you think need to be had?
Again, I always go with that rule of thumb. Certain things, when I had the young crowd, would you say that in front of your mother? If you wouldn't say it in front of your mother, you really shouldn't be talking about it in public. I mean, it's just saying.
But they're dysfunctional families that they can say
they
can say inappropriate things in front of them, but they don't need to come and say it at the workplace.
But then I would have to take, oh, you would? Wow. No, but
well, it seems like we have
where'd you learn that
workshops.
from, my mother?
That's what my daughter would say. No.
We have workshops and we have, like massive auditoriums at work, and we have these discussions. But what kind of discussions do you think need to happen, in that kind of setting?
I think one of the discussions that have to say, and Beverly addressed this earlier, people have to speak up about what they feel is inappropriate. Because I believe I'm sensitive to, diverse topics, life circumstances, and things like that. And then I'll make a statement, and someone who finds it offensive brings it to my attention, and I'm like, thank you for sharing, because I didn't think it like that. A real simple one was I referred to someone as a young lady. I thought it was a compliment. Actually, she wasn't a young lady. But
so that
was, but she felt minimized. Like, you don't see me as a peer. You call me a young lady and everything. So again, it makes me watch my language. I didn't mean it to be offensive. I transmitted in all honesty what I thought was an appropriate comment, but it was received in a way. And so what we have to do, first of all, people have to speak up. Second, we have to listen to people when they tell us something's inappropriate and take appropriate action, again, to change people's opinion. The reason that a lot of times individuals get in trouble for inappropriate behavior or inappropriate comments is because it recurs over and over and over. So as we started with Kevin Hart, he can change his perception by changing his behavior.
Okay.
If we do something that someone has told us is inappropriate and we stop doing it, people respect the fact that we have adjusted our behavior to respect them. And now instead of being someone of offensive nature, we become someone who is a colleague.
Let me just read this. Carol Black Henderson. I believe the response needs to be case by case. I'm not sure each situation can have the same punishment.
Just in closing, the one thing that I fear, because I know what I was to many of my male peers and my male boss.
Okay.
When you take women out of the equation, I used to watch their back. I might be the one that came to them, hey, you maybe want to be careful about saying something like that. So when you remove them and then there's exposure, there's a greater risk. So I think the thing is for us to work together and make sure. I may not find it offensive, but Michelle over here may find it offensive. And it would be my responsibility to make sure that each of you are aware of it and sharing that. So we're all growing. And the business is growing, because the business won't grow if you only have men running things, just like it won't grow if there's only women. We need all of our powers.
think it not only men and women, it needs to be culturally diverse equally as well. So what would you say, Dr. Champion?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think that, there's science that has proven that diverse organizations are the most productive, the most creative, and the most successful.
Amen. I guess we could go on with this all night long. But I think more conversation needs to happen with this particular topic here because, again, many people have many gray areas. So I would like Ms. Session to bring this topic up again so that we can really get a little deeper and even have a few other women as well as a few other men and really break down and communicate about this.
We'll come up with some scenarios and act them out, and then we can get response. Was that appropriate? Inappropriate? Okay. You have a file. I have a file. We can.
You burn your file. I burn my file.
And act them out.
Yeah, that could be an interesting one. That's for the 2-hour show.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, our time is up. We definitely thank you for yours, for tuning in tonight. Hashtag #MeTooMovement. Have responses gone too far? Thank you so much. Hey, when good men and women stand together, we become greater. I am my brother's keeper and see you on the other side of greatness. God bless you. Thank you for watching. See you next week.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
My brothers keep a show, I gotta let them know. Tuesday, 7 p.m., gotta let them know. 3 M's meant to model, gotta multiply. God gets all the glory, hands in the sky. My brothers keep a show, I gotta let them know. Tuesday, 7 p.m., gotta let them know. 3 M's meant to model, gotta multiply. God gets all the glory, hands in the sky. My brothers keep a show. Introduce the host. My brothers keep a show. Introduce the host. That's the Dr.Mike Green.